Hello ladies and gentlemen, WillE here. So you've planned out the racing class that you plan to pick, but wait, you aren't done yet. The profession system in Classic is super expansive and should be something you consider before the land in Azeroth when the game finally launches. I'm going to cover professions over 2 videos as there is an enormous amount to cover. In this video I'll be doing the secondary professions, cooking, fishing and first aid, and the gathering primary professions, mining, skinning and herbalism. I'll also do a follow-up video for the production professions before launch. One of the few things that has never changed in WoW is that you're able to learn all secondary professions and 2 primary professions per character. More importantly, if you drop a profession, you'll lose all level progress as well as everything you have learned from trainers, plans or any other source, with a few exceptions to not having to redo quests, but that's it, so it's important you make the right choice. Professions have tiers, and after you've reached a cap in a tier, you need to go to a trainer to learn the next tier up. And for the artisan tier, this will be from a special master trainer who will have a quest for you, and these master trainers are often in pretty inconvenient locations, like the master enchanting trainer Anora being in Alderman. These profession tiers go from 0 to 75 for apprentice, 75 to 150 for journeyman, 150 to 225 for expert, and 225 to 300 for artisan. The max level for a profession is 300, but some of them had special items which required beyond 300 skill. It's important you pick a profession combo that you are happy with early on. Professions can be worked on during the leveling process and you don't want to have to go back and regrind old areas because you aren't happy with what you chose. Neither should you fork out loads of your hard-earned gold to relevel something new. Keep in mind that there is always an option to pick a profession just to maximise gold gain for a mount at 40 and then change afterwards. Professions matter. At endgame there are many rare patterns, recipes, schematics, formula, plans and enchantments that only a few select people will have per server, meaning everyone wants what they have. If you're lucky enough, you can be one of the few people who are able to make super powerful items or potions, and you can essentially control the market and set your own prices. It's pretty cool. I'm sure you'll have heard people mention how vanilla had this greater feeling of being part of a community. This was because your reputation matters. You actually had to trade items over to the person to create what you wanted and then trade them back along with their price. Being reputable and well known will get you far more trade than someone who no one knows, even if you charge more. Advertise yourself, get people to verify you, make people want to come to you. But at the end of the day, it's easy to create a false following through friends, but I think people be a lot wiser to the tricks nowadays. Maybe a practice of trading gold collateral will be more popular. Maybe there'll even be an add-on to estimate collateral based off auction house values over a period of time. Who knows? Either way, be careful, don't throw your gold away. So first of all, first aid, especially useful for classes who have no emergency heal button, so I'm looking at you rogues and warriors really. The idea behind this skill is very simple, gives you an extra in combat heal over time effect. Each time you bandage you gain the recently bandaged debuff, preventing another bandage from being used for 60 seconds, and these are channeled, and if either person takes damage it'll be interrupted. These scale up very nicely, and the max tier bandage gives 2000 health over 8 seconds. This is a pretty substantial amount, especially for clothies. Always keep hold of any cloth you get whilst leveling, or send it over to a bank ult for future use. Every class can get a good amount of use out of these, especially early game. There's a quest to learn artisan first aid eventually, and there's also first aid items that cure poisons, but they aren't anywhere as near as good as some of the alchemy alternatives. A simple profession for sure, but not one to delay. Check out where you pick this up in your starting area. For example, it's located in the pub in Karanos for gnomes or dwarves. Cooking is really just as it is today in retail, provides a number of useful buffs at endgame for various classes. Leveling up cooking could be a bit more tricky as you don't gain all the ingredients you need passively through leveling and will have to go out of your way to farm or just buy direct from the auction house. Also it pairs up quite well with fishing. Don't forget to buy a flint and tinder so you can actually make your campfires. You can't just conjure them from thin air. Mages also need a flint and tinder, so go figure. Definitely worth leveling up if you are keen to min-max late game. Cooking provides some nice additional stat buffs. Also, there are some pretty unique items you can make with cooking. Thistle tea learned through the class quest for a rogue needs 60 cooking to create. This was an on-use 100 energy, great for 1v1s. Dragon's Breath chili needed 200 cooking. This gave your attacks a chance to proc an AoE flame frontal on enemies. This also scaled up with level, so it's great for tanks in AoE situations, especially warriors and druids, who had talents to passively increase their threat generation. Also, apparently the buff disappears if you jump in water, so that's a pretty interesting touch. Probably my favourite thing from cooking was the savoury Deviate Delight. Learned 85 cooking from a recipe from a zone drop in the Barrens. This would turn you into a pirate or a ninja for an hour. Super cool appearance changing item, big fan. I'm definitely going to be picking up a bunch of these where I can. Finally, there's a quest for artisan cooking to continue on to master. This is from Dirge Quickcleave into Naris. It's a simple handing quest. Here's what you need. Once again, pretty good skill, should be able to make some good money off the higher tier foods and appearance changing items, I think. The final secondary profession may be the least useful one, but it certainly has its part. It'll be something to do for completionists mainly. Leveling fishing requires you to visit different zones at different tiers. So for example, starting zones like Westfall or the Barrens would get you from 0 to 75, whereas 225 to 300 would need later game zones like Felwood or Tanaris. Fishing did complement cooking too, providing a good amount of materials and a decent amount of money from selling fish on the auction house, especially winter squid, needed for some of the best agility food, which, as their name suggests, are only available in winter months. The artisan quest is from the infamous Nat Pagel, who in vanilla is in the middle of nowhere in Dustwallow Marsh and has you go across Azeroth to catch some rare fish. Fishers can also catch big mouth clams that can contain pearls, often used in high-end enchanting recipes, and should be able to fetch a nice price. There's a boss in Zul'Gurub that can only be summoned through fishing, Gazranka, using a specially made lore, once again from Nat Pagel. This boss drops the tome that teaches Polymorph Turtle, amongst other things. Also, for you guys planning on twinking out there, in order to catch the fish that rewards the lucky fishing hat, best in slot for all you level 19 twinks, you're going to need a minimum of 225 fishing, including boosts. Even then, it's probably a good idea to go higher. Fishing is a decent activity if you just want to chill out or sort of semi-AFK a little bit as well, as it does take a while to level. Never forget to bring lures as well for your rod. You can boost up your fishing a huge amount. So on to the primary professions now. These are the real meat on the bones of the classic profession system and will be where you need to make an important decision as to what professions will fit you the best. Primary professions are separated out into gathering and production skills, and many of them have a very synergistic relationship. Gathering mechanics in Classic are different from retail. Mining a node has to be done several times in a row before it will be fully depleted, and any gathering skill has a chance to fail based on your skill. Also, just a quick note that you can't track mining and herbalism nodes at the same time, only one or the other. So if you're planning on going for a double gathering profession setup at the start of the game, I'd go skinning and then mining or herbalism, just so you can track items a lot easier on the map. Mining. Grab a pick and hit some rocks. Mining can be learned early on in all the starting zones. Mining isn't just about hitting rocks though. It allows you to smelt the ores you farm into bars, which can then be used by a number of different professions. Many of the top endgame weapons and armor needed many bars to make, meaning your hard-earned resources will always be in high demand. You also have a low chance to receive rare drops like the Azerothian diamond, used also in many late game recipes. Once mining's picked up, you'll be able to track minerals on your map, highlighting the nearby mining nodes with a yellow dot. It's important to make sure that you're keeping up with where your mining level should be for the area as you move on to higher level zones. Lower level mining nodes like copper or tin only appear in the lower level zones, whereas higher level zones have ore veins like thorium or obsidian, so do level your mining up as much as you can as you go along. Mining's late game content involved smelting dark iron bars from the Black Forge deep within Black Rock Mountain, just outside of Molten Core, and this is taught by one of the dwarves at the start of the 7 fight in Black Rock Depths. It's a simple handing quest. Make sure you have these items on one of your trips through BRD. They can also smelt elementium bars, and the way you learn this is super unique. A priest had to mind control Master Elemental Shaper Crixix in Blackwing Lair, and then teach a player how to smelt elementium through one of his spells. A bunch of these bars are needed for Thunder Fury, so you can bet people will want this. Mining pairs up nicely with blacksmithing and engineering, as both require a great deal of bars in their various creations. Alternatively, mining is just a solid money maker which can help you on your way to affording your first mount. The second gathering profession, Herbalism. Similar to mining, once this is learned you can track herbs and see them as a dot on your minimap, and just once again you can only track herbs or ores, not both. No special tools are needed for this skill, but you can get a special herb bag that has a larger capacity than many other bags you'll be able to use. This doesn't exist for mining or skinning for some reason, unlucky I guess. Herbs will go directly into this bag as you collect them. For endgame content, Herbalists can gather the Black Lotus, spawning in many dangerous areas or places filled with elite mobs. These are used in flasks and are super rare. I found reports suggesting only one spawns per zone at a time with an hour respawn, so these are going to be difficult to farm. Maybe layering will make them farm easier to farm, but we'll have to wait and see. Black Lotus was also used as part of the materials for Gurubashi Mojo Madness, which spawned a variety of different bosses that dropped items to create your Zul'Gurub trinkets. And come Zul'Gurub, Herbalists played a big part in acquiring Bloodvine through the use of their Blood Scythe. This herb was used in armor sets for all different types of armors. Plate users got a nice nature resist set. The cloth set was exceptionally good for casters who up to this point had difficulty getting good hit gear. Herbalism was good consideration for rogues too. You needed Fade Leaf to create blinding powder and Swift Thistle for Thistle Tea, beyond that nice big energy boost. Once again, this profession will be a great moneymaker. Flasks, potions and elixirs are all great stuff. Herbalism pairs up best with alchemy that primarily focuses on using herbs to turn into potions. The final gathering skill, skinning. Grab a skinning knife as early on as you can from a reagent vendor. This skill makes use of all the enemies you take down whilst leveling. Also, you aren't having to go out of your way as often to skin, as many enemies you defeat will be beasts, so you can level this a lot easier as you go. For late game content, skinning had a whole lot to do and provided materials for many excellent quality items. As mentioned earlier, there is much content beyond 300 skinning that requires the use of certain skill boosts. And the boosts you need are an enchantment that gives you +5 skinning on your gloves as a zone drop from Arathi Highlands, and more importantly, Finkel's Slicer that drops from the beast in Upper Blackrock Spire that gives +10 skinning passively, and later once Zul'Gurub's released High Priest Thekkel also drops a sword with +10 skinning on as well. Both these boosts are required for skinning bosses. Items like Pristine Hide of the Beast from, well, the Beast, surprisingly, which led to an epic quest for leatherworkers, needed 310 skinning. Dream Scales from the Green Dragon World bosses for Nature Resist gear, need 315 skinning. A scale of Onyxia for the Onyxia Scale Cloak, needed 315 skinning too, etc. Skinners provided materials for many late game armor sets that I'll look at in more details during the leatherworking section. And just with the other two gathering professions, hides and scales will always be in demand. Skinning goes well with leatherworking. That covers everything I wanted to do for this part of the video, and the follow will be looking at what I call the production professions, so alchemy, enchanting, engineering, tailoring, leatherworking and blacksmithing, and I'll have this out before release as well, so you can get a better idea of what you might like to pick before you dive straight in, so that will be coming soon. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.